This is the last video of our easy link application series. So we have already done 7 videos if I remember correctly, and this is the last video. And so far we have managed to build this nice full stack application. So we have this login and sign up screen. You can sign up from here, you can log in from here, and if we log in with our username and password, and then if we go in, then we are here, and this is where you can create more links. For example, if we want to make a short link for this, we can give the name. We can just do same. Well, seems like it's the same link, so let's try to find another link. Okay, so if we go here and if we give this and if we generate it, okay, so we have 2 links here, and we can also edit it. So you can even edit the link, or you can also change the name, and then you can update it. For example, if we say update here, update it, it's updated successfully, and it also refreshes here. Additionally, if you want to delete this, we can delete it. It's actually deleted, however we are not showing any confirm message or success message, so that's why we have to refresh it, and then we can log out and so on. So today's video will be mostly focusing on state management. We'll also try to clean a few things here and there, but mostly this is about state management. Initially I thought I will do with Redux, but I have already done a couple of videos in Redux, so I want to do kind of live coding with Mobx. So we will see everything from the scratch. I haven't prepared for this, so we will do as if this is a live coding. So if you are here for Mobx, if you are here for finalizing this product, then I highly recommend you to watch until the end of the video. And if you have been following me for a while but haven't subscribed yet, then I will recommend you to subscribe my channel, because I'm coming up with a lot of interesting videos, projects, and so on in future. And if you enjoy this video, give the video a like. That way YouTube algorithm will recommend this video to others like you. With that being said, let's start the video. So here I am in our project folder, and this has both the server and also a client here, and there is also a GitHub link, and everything what you need will be there in the description, so just go there and follow along. Only one thing I will tell you is, if you want to follow me from the very start, and this is what I recommend you to do, then please continue from this branch, because that's the branch, as the name says, it's a fresh start. However, if you wanna just jump in from here and there, then there is a tutorial branch. I may or may not have committed properly, but you can also follow my commit message. So here we are, and mainly we will be installing few things here in the client side, because we are talking about state management. So let's go to client folder here, and then we will be dealing something with Mobx. So let's go to Mobx documentation here. So okay, so it says yarn Mobx, and if I remember correctly, we also need something from React Mobx. All right, so let's go here, and then here we will do an add, we will do Mobx, and then we will also do Mobx React. All right, so we have these two, and while that will be in the installing process, let's go to our src folder, and somewhere here let's create a folder called store, and then inside store we will create our URL store. We can also create auth store and so on, but let's see, at least for the first part I will be focusing on store. And this brings us already to one sort of a practice here. If you see, we have services, and our API calls are done using services, and after services, in theory, the next layer in our application will be store. So everything whatever we will get from services, or whatever the data we will be dealing with, that will be all gathered in store, and then that store will be passing whatever the props needed to any of the component, whether it can be a page component, it can be just component. It will pass all the data there. So let's do it together. And inside our folder here in the store, I will create a store called URL store. Okay, so I will just go here, I will call it class URL store, and then okay, I don't need this. Okay, so I can say URL data, and I will give a type of it, and that will be URL type, and initially it's empty, so we will save everything here. And probably we can also do loading, that will be boolean, initially false. So after that, let's use constructor, and then in constructor I will just say make auto observable and this. So that means everything here we have, they are auto observable. After that we need a function, and the function is same as here somewhere, this one. So let's copy this function almost here, and it's good, we just don't need const in this case. This is from service, so let's import that. And here instead of that we'll do a couple of things. So let's just make also another setter function. So we can just say set URL data, and this is a function, it will take data, and data will be same as this data here, and all this does is this dot URL data will be whatever the data we pass. Just making sure that even if later we want to call this from somewhere else, then we can call this function and it will reload our state or so on. Anyway, this is not necessary, we can also do it inside here, but I'm just playing safe here. So now I will call this data so we are not confusing it there, and then if it fetches properly, then I'm passing here. Okay, I guess we have pretty much thing here. Then I will just say URL store is new URL store, and then I will just say export default and URL store. Okay, so this is good here. Then we need to go here and do something. So from Mobx React, I will need something called observer, and the idea is in Redux we get a state, and then there are like things from Redux, so because of that it will make our component observe those things as the state change. However, in Redux there is something called observer, if I can even find it. Oh my god, I don't know why, but I've been working with Mobx for almost like 8 months or so, but this documentation doesn't look that pleasing to me. So this is what I'm looking for. So I just need to wrap this. So what we want is we want to wrap all our component, whatever the component you want to observe the state. So that means if the state changes, then your component will re-render, so that kind of thing. Then you need to wrap it. Let's remove this from here, and then where we will go, we'll go here, we'll remove this one from here, we'll remove this one from here, we'll also remove this one from here. And here I can just say okay, so let's import couple of things from store. Okay, so here we don't need this because we will be changing that. So now I can just do something here, and that will be from URL store. All right, so, and what that means, we want one is URL data, and then we can, well actually let's create a function called init, and then that function is the function we want to call for anything. In this case we can just do something like that, but later if we want more thing we can do that. Additionally, you can also directly call this function. As you can see, if I try to get it, I can also get it, but I will do init, and then that init is this is action. So here in React use effect, when our component renders, we want to call this init. Okay, and then we have URL data here. I think our, okay, so this is all broken. So first thing first, we don't want that. We will deal that later separately. Okay, so here, this is the one I'm talking about. So this we can do URL data. Okay, let's see what will happen here. All right, we got it. Okay, at least something is working, thanks God. So so what it is doing now is almost exactly what we had. Okay, we can edit, we can probably delete because we haven't touched that, except now we have a store. And the beauty of a store is now whatever you are getting in dashboard, if you want, you can also get it to some other places because we have a store. All you need to do is import this URL store, and then you can already get this data. If needed, you can call init from that component, but that's all about it. But that's not everything, because at the moment we are not doing anything. So let's try to do something. Okay, so if we go here, then when we are calling this, so just before here, what we can do is this dot URL data loading is true. Okay, and it will keep on loading. And then when we have data, we can just say this dot false again, and that way here we can also have URL data loading, and that we can use loading here somewhere. So where are we rendering the table? Okay, this is getting super confusing. Okay, so here somewhere all I can do is, let's just go here, just test it. So we don't even need boolean. So if URL data loading, if that's the case, we want to show loading. And now if I refresh here, you saw there was a tiny fraction of second saying loading. You can see here, if you notice here, it says loading, and the reason is okay, so we can just play with it and check it. So instead of doing this directly here, what I can do is set timeout, and then what I can do here, let's say it will happen after that, and then okay, probably this is not the best thing, because no, actually that's not what I wanted. I wanted that, but what I wanted is here. So instead of this, let's do 1000, and then let's do this. So now if I refresh, you see that loading keeps on being there. So we have loading here, and this is not a best way to do it, because you should only render all this if it has length. And you can also do so that if not URL data loading, that's the case, then only we want. And now we have this loading, so that means this keeps on happening. So we need to have this loading false. What happened? Okay, so it became true, but we are never marking this false. So let's just do that. Now if you go here, if I refresh, loading and then that, and loading and then that. Okay, so that's good. No problem about that. So let's move on. So what we want to do next, our editing is good. However, whenever we are done with editing, then we need to probably face the user. Not editing, we create new short URL. For example, now if I were to, okay, so create this URL here, it's a new Mobx, and if I say it, okay, so we are not getting it. So if we refresh, we get the data, otherwise we are not getting. Earlier it was working just fine, but now we missed it. So what we can do, we have a couple of ways of dealing it, and the first one would be that instead of actually having this data here in this local state, we can also make sure that we have a Mobx store for this. That is one way to deal, and then Mobx will handle. So let's try to create that. Okay, so what we can do, let's go here, and then here in somewhere here, new URL payload, and that is URL payload type, and initially it's the okay. Well, we don't want that, so we have has no okay. So we can just copy from here and just take this, I guess, right? Yeah, so we have this is our URL payload, and then this is the cool thing about Mobx. So what we can do is we have this here, and now we can also say create new URL. So here we can say create new URL, and this will be also a async function. And what we can do, okay, so we can have try catch, that's fine. So whatever we are doing here, the post data to API, so this is something that we can actually use. So this create new URL, so this is the thing with URL payload. Okay, so and then there is set URL add view, and these are all dashboard related. We can also change this everything with our store. However, I'm not gonna do this because it's okay, it can be in the dashboard. Actually, this can be also in the dashboard, but that way if we have it, we can later save URL from anywhere. Okay, so let's just go. And anyway, this is a Mobx practice. So here I can just create URL. I'll just copy this, and then here what I can do is if new URL, okay, so if we basically original link, if we don't have original link, then here also we can just say alert original link is required. We can just do return so that we don't go to other bug. Otherwise we can do something like this, and this is something I can get from the service, and this is nothing. Okay, so that way we have now create new URL, and it will be called, and after we have created this, then we can just do this dot paste new URL. Okay, now comes the interesting part. So we don't need this, actually we will need this, but we will make that somewhere. Okay, or let's just have this as it is for now, but I will handle that separately. So what we want is, we don't need this URL payload. However, we will take this from here, new URL payload, so we get that from store, and you will see the cool thing here. So we don't need to do this all setter and everything. So what we can do is, instead of value here like this, I can just do new URL payload and original link. and here I can just say new URL payload and the name. Okay, string undefined is, we'll check that later, or additionally we can also do empty here. So then that's good. Then the next thing is here now on change, and here also on change. What we can do is we don't need to do all this complex thing. What we want is we can just simply say, all right, so here this is the interesting part of Mobx. So here all I can say is let's just, so here we have value. If we have, we don't even need value, so all we can do is new URL payload dot original link is value. So that's good. Okay, so type number is not assignable, so it just doesn't know whether this is a type or number or not. If I do type and text, probably that will not fix, it won't fix. Okay, so what we can do is, that's good, and we have here, and then we can do the same thing here. So all I can do is new URL payload dot name, that is same as, okay, so this way we have those two. And then here, instead of post data to API, what I can do is we can also import this function here from the store. Okay, so here we have create new URL, and then this post data to API, I can just do here that this dot no create new URL, and we just need to call this, and that's good. So we will have something missing, however, if everything is good, so let's try. I will create a new URL here. I'll go here, create new URL, we provide this. Okay, there is some strict mode and things are going on. Let's see whether this works or not. If not, we'll do all Ctrl+Z. Okay, so new URL. Okay, and we generate, and you can see that actually this new URL is here, and this is already added. So we have some warning, we can fix that, but I don't want to go in detail. That's also your homework. So you can see that the beauty of Mobx is we don't need to deal with having a separate action and everything, and because usually we get value from somewhere, and then we need to have some temp step to save it. However, in this case, the same data is also, you can just call it, and you can also directly mutate that data. In some cases we may not want to do it, but in most of the cases this is pretty good. Okay, so as you can see, when you add something new, this doesn't disappear. Although this reloads, this doesn't disappear, and the reason behind that is we had it in dashboard, and what was it called? So here, so this was this true and false. So set show URL add view. So the idea is we have this show URL view, and then only it will show it, otherwise it doesn't. So what I can do is I can just copy this. Usually this shouldn't go in URL store, it should go in some dashboard view or whatever, or dialog or whatever, so that you can name it properly. You have like separate like visual layer store, but just for our purpose here, I can just do something like that, boolean, and initially it will be false. Okay, and then what I can do is I can completely get rid of this here, and we don't need this also there. And then every here instead of this, I can just get it from here. Okay, and you know, we don't need this kind of setter function here. All we can do is this is true, yes, and then cannot. Okay, so do we still, What did I do? Did I do something here? No. Okay, so this is show URL view, and show URL view is something we are getting from here, and we are clicking it here. Also, instead of true, we can do something like that. And then do we have somewhere here false, and then I can also do this true. No, actually this is false. And then also here we have a create new URL, and we paste the user, and after that this dot. Okay, so we do that. And why am I getting this here? Okay, we don't need create URL there, so I'm still getting some problem with this. So I'm just trying to figure out what is happening here. Do I still have some const somewhere? Okay, so cannot assign value, so URL add view is constant. So do we have it somewhere? Okay, it's here, and that's there. That's not a problem. So why it says it's a constant? It's not a constant. It's this one. Is it still confused from the previous state? Looks like. Well, in those cases, what I need to do is I need to kill this. Okay, I'm still getting problem here. Okay, I'm getting from const here, and says I cannot do it. Okay, so probably the reason is this one. So because I'm calling it const, these are objects, but this is URL add view. So how I can handle with that case is, yeah, it makes sense that this inside we can do it, but if we want to bring it outside, then we have to do this. Okay, in that case, what I was bragging earlier seems a bit stupid brag, because we actually have to do the same thing. Set. So okay, what was it? Okay, so we can do something like this, and then we can take val, that will be boolean, and this will be this dot val. Okay, so in that case, now the whole proud thing that I was telling you, I just did it, just kind of messed everything. So all I need to do is call this function. So in here, okay, so I need to go here, here, here. Okay, so even this I guess I need to do, then I need to do this true, and what's it here? Somewhere there was false. You know what, I missed it, so I have to fix it. So everywhere there is true, like this. I will go and I will do something like this, and then we still have one here, and this one I'll just do and false. Okay, so idea is if I do this, cancel hidden. Okay, and if I want to add something here, let's say this URL here, another one. Okay, so it has perfecto. But where is that another one? It's not shown. Something happened. Okay, usually if we have a duplicate, then it doesn't add. So let's do this. Another one. Okay, now we have another one. The idea is that if we already have this data here, and no matter what new name you give, our architecture is designed in such a way that if you already provide the existing one, then if URL exists, then we are actually not even returning. Okay, we are returning short URL in some cases, but that's the case anyway. So we have these edited, working, delete. So do we want to also move or delete to Mobx? I think so. So let's do so that this delete function what we are working and delete URL by code. So let's see. Okay, so we have delete URL here and we just need URL code, and then we are calling it. All right, so if we do this here somewhere here, so I don't need this, and I can import that. Okay, so we have delete URL and this is already working. So here somewhere what I can do is I can also do page users. That's the problem we were running earlier. So what I can do is I can just remove this, and then somewhere here I can do delete URL, and here if you go here, actually this should be already good. Cannot find delete URL. Didn't I just imported delete URL? We don't need delete URL code here, and this one is the delete URL. So what's the problem? Okay, so it goes here. Okay, that's, but it's inside the reads. Okay, just trying to understand why this is. So we are we out of scope? Seems like. So this is our scope, yes, and then the scope ends there. So okay, so that's the reason. So how was it earlier? I'll just do a couple of Ctrl+Z. Okay, so we have delete URL here, and this was a separate function. So in the render action, okay, so that's the reason. Well, it's pretty easy in our case. So if I cannot get delete URL from there, then what I can do is I can just, yeah, I don't need this, I don't need this. So here somewhere I can just do URL store dot delete URL, and that's also another awesome thing here. Either it or, okay, we are getting something here that it's missing dependency in it. This wants me to use that there, so we have something there. Now the idea is if I delete this, then the list should refresh. So we are saying, do you want to delete test? I say okay, and then it's deleted. If I want to delete this, it's deleted. Okay, so we also did that. I guess we are pretty much good. So let's delete everything since we don't need to refresh, and we have this. You can see the loading. So now we have new here, and if I were to copy this, and if I say new Mobx readme and I generate here, okay, so we have that there, and then we can edit it and say update it. Okay, so didn't update. Okay, so that's one more thing we need to fix. So whenever we update somewhere here, let's see, update. Okay, so if we update, then we are not refreshing. Earlier we were refreshing, but now we are not refreshing. Again, another question here is, do I also want this to go there, or because when we update we want, okay, so one easy option is after this I can just say URL store. I can either say init or I can say page URL. So that way when I say updated more and if I update, yeah, so this is updated. All right, so update is good, delete is good, logging logout works perfectly. So if I give, and if I just do login, we are getting that. We immediately have the datas, and we can of course delete it. We already saw we can add more, we can cancel it, and if we don't have anything, then we see this view. If we have something, then we see this view, and now updating works. All right, so more thing we can still do is, okay, we have profile. I think for that I will make completely different video, how to handle profile, how to do password reset and so on. That's completely different series I'm thinking of. I don't want to make this more like longer series. It's already part 8 of this series, so I think I will just stop it here. These were all I was thinking. So we have now Mobx store, and you already saw that how we started with a simple URL data store, then we added a loading, and we keep on adding more and more stuff. Additionally, we can also do more steps in future. For example, if the user changes or something, then we can start all those kind of thing. And then the reason why we want init here instead of is, actually I don't know what did I do wrong here. Usually whenever we are mounting the component, and then whenever the store is being called or something, then in those cases that init should be called. Another beauty that I have to mention you is you can also in this state completely, and just like how we have state here, you can also create state here, Mobx state, and you can have observable and everything, and that will be just a local state for it. Obviously you can always use this for the main store, but what I'm saying is you don't need to even use all these hooks and everything. And then for those there are different kind of things in Mobx. There are like things like reactions and auto run and so on. For example, let's say there is something called auto run. So if you go auto run, then it also updates in every dependency. It's just like almost like use effect. There is a reaction, so you can give which value you want to react on. So let's say we want in user's name here, for example, and then you can run the function, what function you want, and there are options and so on. And similarly there are when. So these are also almost like how you can make this react in couple of things and so on. And this is itself a huge tool that you can use. Very simple to start, but you can make a complex high-end project with this. So this was also nice, so that we implemented here, and that was the reason why I implemented Mobx. I could have easily gone with Redux, but I have already a lot of other videos in my channel using Redux, so this is a new thing. So for you, so yeah, you can go and you can check it on. You can just Google it out. You can even ask probably ChatGPT to make some store for you. We could have tried. I just realized now. Anyway, this is much simpler or easier to start in compared to Redux, because in Redux you have to wrap all your component, like the higher layer, like this main component somewhere here with a Redux store. Then you need to create a store, and it gets super complex. Whereas in this case we only have this one file, just couple of lines here, and then we just made our dashboard here, observer with Mobx React, and just with those two things we already have this awesome UI. And now whatever we have done here, this one, you can actually use this anywhere, right? You can use this anywhere, and then from there you can just call this. You can create new URL from anywhere, just need to pass those datas. You can even, we don't have any other pages here, but if I had, I would have shown you that you can create from other pages as well, and so on. So I hope this video and this whole series was important for you, and if you learned something from this, then please comment it out so I will know that if this was useful, and that will definitely motivate me to create more videos in future. If you haven't subscribed my channel already, then you should subscribe it, because why not? You are getting a lot more content here, and a lot of other contents are coming there in my pipeline. I'm working on it. So interesting things, interesting videos, interesting concepts coming on. I also regularly upload shorts on YouTube, also Instagram reels. So if you haven't followed me in Instagram, then you have to follow also there. With all, thank you so much for coming on till this end and giving me a company here, and I really hope to see you in future videos. Until then, keep coding. Bye bye.